Today's video is for perfectionists and high achievers. It's for the people who never feel like their standard is good enough and it always needs to be better. People who always want to outdo everyone around them, to always want to be the best and always want to do it to the highest possible standard and always want to impress people. Today's video is for you guys. So, I had a pattern of either dominating or quitting in my life. So if I did something, I did it better than anyone around me. I excelled and won and looked like the best at least. And if I couldn't do that, and if I couldn't do that quickly and immediately, I just quit or avoided the task. So for example, when I got into Zouk dancing, I excelled. I danced 5 or 6 nights a week. I got into performances and competitions. I won those competitions with my dance partner. I kind of crushed it quickly. Whereas when I got into Muay Thai kickboxing, I did it for a couple of months and then I had my first proper fight and got my ass kicked. I was put against someone who way outmatched me and pretty much quit after that. And this is a pattern I've seen in my life a lot. When I do something, I try to be the best and I try to excel and I try to improve how it's done, and I catch myself trying to make sure everybody sees me doing this. But if I get hints either before I start something or during that thing that I'm not going to be the best, that I might be second best or mediocre or even terrible at it, then I pretty much just quit and I feel no real enthusiasm to continue. People pleasers and nice guys tend to try and win approval through achievement. That's one of the methods that people pleasers use to feel good about themselves, is to get that pat on the back for being a high achiever. It's because of a persona or reputation we want to create. We want to be seen as hardworking and reliable and extremely competent. We want to be seen as impressive, as the best. We want people to say, yeah, that guy's really valuable because of X, Y, and Z. In whatever words. He's the funniest guy, Oh, nobody will work harder than Dan, or, God, he picked it up so quickly. That's the kind of things we want people to think about us and say to us. And the desire for that response means we will tend towards activities that are more likely to get that response and avoid activities that are unlikely to create that response, even though the activities we go towards might not be good for us or the activities we're avoiding might be good for us. It's really common for a people pleaser, for example, to do a job that they're really good at but they really don't like. They go to what they excel at without asking myself, do I actually enjoy this? And in the same breath, they'll put off something they're passionate about, usually an artistic pursuit of some kind, something they love doing, because they're not good at it or not the best at it. And that's the thing, is it's not even about just being good enough at it. If you're in the middle of the pack, you might feel an aversion to doing it. If you can't see yourself being number one, you kind of back away, even if you love doing it. Now, when we try and explain this to ourselves, we talk about a fear of failure, or we talk about goals that we're trying to achieve. We say, I don't start my artistic passion business because I'm worried it's not going to work out, or I stay at my shitty job that I'm good at but I hate because I have these financial goals. So we excuse our behavior with either fear or goals. But that doesn't explain why you're afraid of being second best, or middle of the pack, or just good enough, unimpressive. Why are you afraid of not standing out or being noticed in a positive way? Why is not getting approval a deal breaker for you when it comes to engaging in an activity? I want you to think about that. And also think about the opposite. Why is being excellent at something an obligation to continue doing that thing? What's that movie with the two stoners? Harold and Kumar go to White Castle, and Kumar doesn't want to go and be, I think it's a doctor, even though he's a genius and he passed all the tests. And somebody asked him, like, why don't you want to be a doctor? He's like, well, just because you're hung like a donkey doesn't mean you got to do porn. People pleasers are like that. If they're good at something, they'll feel obliged, like it's a duty to do it, even if they hate it. But if they're excellent, they feel like they must do it. I think we get confused that our skills are indicative of our passion. If we're good at something, it must be something we should do. And yet you can be really good at something that you hate. Like I used to be really good at managing a warehouse, a picking and packing distribution warehouse. I fucking hated it though. So being good at it wasn't necessarily a sign that I should do it, but I felt compelled to keep doing it because it was such an easy source of approval. Where you can rely on Dan. Dan always gets the job done. Dan came up with this great new idea for doing things. I'm sitting there bathing in all this approval and never stopping to go, hey, why am I at a job that sucks? Now, let's get into the real reason this happens. I went on a trip once. I went to the United States. It was my first really big overseas adventure. And I was away for about 6 months. And I distinctly remember from the moment I landed in the airport returning to New Zealand and the next few weeks that followed, I noticed something. One is, first off, I noticed the scenery had changed. You know, new roads had been built, houses and stuff. Things had gone, life had continued without me. And something about that was unsettling. And then, more importantly, I noticed people had moved on without me. People were living their lives as well as they ever had without my intervention. People were successful without needing me. People could live without me. It's a realization that slowly crept in. Like, I've been away for 6 months, and yet nobody really noticed. Nobody really was bothered by this. Everybody just moved on and lived their life. And it brought up an existential fear that I'd been suppressing all my life, which is the fear that I'm not significant. The fear that I don't matter. And this is a core people pleaser fear, that underneath it, that our base, raw, authentic selves has no real value. So we feel this compulsion to put on a performance, to put effort in, to be more than ourselves, to qualify as being valuable, to have an influence and make an impact and say, see, I was here. I needed to be here. The universe needed me. People needed me. I was important. I matter. We're deeply afraid that if I'm just going to chill and just do what I want to do, and be middle of the pack and just do things because I like them rather than because I'm good at them, then that will be somehow proof that I have no worth, I have no meaning, there's no point to my existence. This is what's also known as toxic shame. The belief that there is something fundamentally wrong or of low worth about you. That deep down under the massive performance of achievement and approval seeking that you put on, there's just nothing. This broken thing that nobody could ever love just on its own. This thing has to perform and provide a service before it can be worthy of love. It can't be worthy of love just sitting there doing nothing. And so people pleasers use achievement to say, look, I exist, I matter, I'm important, I'm valuable, please confirm that I'm valuable. And it drives them to do things they're good at and away from things that they're not immediately good at, rather than the things they actually want to do. And a whole life can be built on this. I work with, more than a few clients now who are over 40 or over 50, and their whole life has been based on seeking approval through achievement, and they don't like anything about it. They don't like their job, they don't like their marriage, they don't like where they live, they don't like themselves. And it's just proof, as if any was needed, that this method doesn't work. That trying to build self-worth by behaving as if you're someone who has no self-worth and you have to put on an act is not a way to build self-worth. It should make sense, but of course it doesn't, because so many people do it. You have to notice that you're driven by insecurity. You lose track of what you're even supposed to be doing. When I was working in Department of Corrections, I became so obsessed with getting promotions, with being the youngest guy to ever get promoted to whatever the next level is, that about 2 promotions in, I started actually moving away from the work that I like doing. By the time I was a sort of senior role, I'm like, I'm not coaching anyone anymore. That was the point of this job in the first place. How did I lose track of that? But somebody seeking endless achievement can easily start with something they liked, but then they get good at it and they move away from it. I see it in the dance scene as well. Someone enjoys dancing, but then becomes obsessed with performing and competing to prove that they're better. And eventually they get to a point where they're doing a type of dancing they don't even enjoy simply because they win competitions. You lose respect. If you're always trying to beat people and outshine them and show that you're the best, how do you imagine they're going to feel about you? Especially the clever ones who can see that you're doing this from a desperate, needy, insecure place. That you're not just naturally achieving, that you're trying hard, that you're using effort to beat people. I used to do this thing like joke beating. If I was ever in a room making people laugh and somebody else was funny, I'd always try to out-funny them. I'd finish their jokes with an even funnier one and kind of win the funniness competition that only existed inside my mind. I can now imagine what that looked like from the outside. Like when I see someone else doing it, it just makes me roll my eyes. Like, oh my God, that's so try-hard. You're like Chandler from Friends, just stop it. So you actually lose respect from other people and from yourself, and the whole time you're being fake. You lose energy and time. Losing my voice. You lose energy and time. I used to sell books for an online bookstore that was similar to eBay, or Amazon, I guess. And I became obsessed with becoming really good at selling books. And I burned myself out day and night trying to do this job well. When if I'd just taken a second to step back and go, is this the job for me? The answer would have been a clear, fuck no. And I would have just quit. But I was just obsessed with trying to do it really well and impress my boss. Prove that I was worthwhile. And I burned out a year of my life. And I really, at this point in my life, I can't see anything I gained from that. There were no skills or strengths that I developed in that role that helped me today. It was a total waste of time. Total waste of time. But my obsession with doing well meant I couldn't see that. And I think most importantly, you lose opportunities for what you might call an authentic life. You don't go talk to someone because you're scared it won't go well, and it turns out they could have been your best friend or your next lover. You don't go for the promotion because you're not sure you're going to get it on your first go, and yet that might be your dream job. Or like with me, I didn't pursue kickboxing, and now I look back and I really wish I'd learned how to fight properly. I've restarted recently before my injuries doing Krav Maga, but I was like, man, if I'd been doing kickboxing for 10 years up until now, I'd be a fucking weapon. But I quit because I lost my first fight. What a missed opportunity just because I wouldn't have been the best kickboxer. And I won't be, ever. Right now I'm learning how to do handstands. I'm never going to be Cirque du Soleil level handstand guy, right? At best I'm going to be one of those guys who can do a handstand, but you're like, yeah, you're sort of cheating, it's not quite right. That's the best I could probably hope for with my particular genetics and physical injuries and everything. But I like doing them. They're challenging, they're fun, it's a little bit scary. It feels like learning how to walk all over again. That's the reason to do it. If you want to enjoy your life, you have to accept being a C student, middle of the pack, uninteresting, unimpressive to other people, in order to be excellent to yourself. You should have, by now, gathered enough evidence in your life that you can step back, look at it and go, look, trying to achieve highly all the time doesn't make me happy. It makes other people happy, makes them pat me on the back. That reward and that approval gives me highs, sure, but I don't fucking like my life. You can see it, anybody's doing really well in their job, and you say, look, if I gave you $10 million, would you quit? And they're like, fuck yeah. I'm like, well, then you don't like your job. You couldn't pay me to quit coaching, right? Now that doesn't mean that you have to quit your job today. It just means, why are you doing it? Are you doing it just because you're good at it? Just because people go, oh, you're a good little boy or girl? I mean, that's a pathetic fucking reason to do something. Instead of doing what you're naturally good at, do what you want. Instead of being the big fish in the small pond, deliberately put yourself in situations where you're the lesser competitor. Rather than trying to win everything, make sure, put it this way, if you're winning whatever you're doing, it's not hard enough. It's not challenging enough. You're not pushing yourself enough. You know you're in the right place if you're constantly coming in third, fourth, or fifth. And that's you trying your best. That's where you're like, oh, this is the right level of competition. I'm surrounded by people who are better than me. That's good. Being the one that everyone looks up to, it might feel nice, give you a little dopamine rush. But it's not going to create a meaningful life. It's not going to get rid of that existential fear that you don't matter. Because the thing is, you fucking don't matter. But that's okay, because you're not supposed to matter to other people. You only matter to yourself. So if you're depriving yourself, then you're going to be meaningless. Then you're going to have no value or worth. But if you try to do what you want with this life, even if it means you kind of suck compared to others, you will matter to you. That will create the meaning that you're missing. That hole cannot be filled by other people. Their preferences and everything are so subjective anyway, where even if they say you're good, you're probably not. I had people who danced with me and they're like, oh my God, you're the best dancer. But I wasn't. I was an intermediate level dancer in a small country in a tiny part of the world. I'm definitely not the best dancer. So their feedback was meaningless, right? Now, if they said they enjoyed dancing with me, that's different. But more importantly, if I enjoy dancing, that's all that matters. Why would I improve beyond that enjoyment? Why would I push myself to go somewhere where I no longer enjoy it? That doesn't even fucking make sense. For those of you who have this issue, I seriously recommend do the BROJO Core Values course and follow it with the Living by Your Values course. And start doing things because they matter to you rather than because they get approval from other people. Okay? It's one of the basic fundamentals of finding self-confidence. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and support the channel. Share it around. Comment below, let me know what your thoughts are. Contact me, dan@brojo.org, with any feedback or questions. And I'll see you guys all next time.